thought we got off to a very good start. Xavier gave us a tremendous lift. It's obvious that he wanted to show us that he's very much capable of being a major contributor. Kind of got off to a slow start this year. I think that is typical and normal sometimes when you're playing as many guys as we're playing and they're playing as fewer minutes as they're playing. Sometimes it's hard to get in a good rhythm. I thought tonight he was very focused. We got the ball to him. It was obvious that his teammates have a lot of confidence in him, and I thought that they really made an exerted effort to make sure that he got his touches early in the game to get his confidence up, and I was glad to see that. Overall, I feel that we're getting better. My biggest concern was the 22 turnovers, but when you look at the type of turnovers that were, half of them were self-inflicted. I got to think that mentally and emotionally we can correct those with just being a little sounder and not being so risky with the ball. I was glad to see Bernard and Carr and Shannon give us the type of energy, and as well as Ian give us the kind of energy that they gave us there in the second half. I'm still just trying to figure out exactly how we need to utilize our talents. It's obvious to us now that when we go with our second unit, we need to be a little bit more organized, make sure we run a few more sets, not allow them to play as much of a speed game until that group gains a little more to it and understand the pace and the execution level, the focus we got to have in order to be consistent during that period. I believe, I like our team, I like our parts. I think we're making progress, but I still think we got a ways to go.
Obviously, the schedule gets a lot tougher at this point.
Why you say that?
They're top 20 teams.
Really? Thanks for reminding me.
Am I wrong?
No, obviously, the schedule gets tougher for them too. I like to think. And, I think we are capable of playing with anyone. Now we just got to go out there and take advantage of this unique and special opportunity we have with the University of Florida coming in to play us on Sunday. We can't enjoy the luxury of looking past them to the second game. First things first. They are a very good basketball team. They've been nationally ranked all year. We know they're going to bring their A game. In order for us to be successful, we need to bring ours.
I was going to ask you, how satisfied are you with where you guys are?
I said that I feel that we're making progress, but by no means do I feel that we've arrived. After the fifth game of the year, I'm not real sure many teams are where they'd like to be. Most coaches would probably tell you that. But I do think that we're making progress. In a lot of areas, and maybe it doesn't show up quite as much, but just in terms of recognizing where we're supposed to be, getting in and out of our systems, whether or not we run an out-of-bounds play or whether or not we run a walk-down set or a secondary set, we have fewer miscues than we had early in the year. Now, we still make some mistakes, and maybe we might miss some shots or we might turn the ball over, but I'm seeing a much better recognition of the things that we're working on in practice. Defensively, I think we're ways away. We're having a hard time getting our guys off the ball to play our help defensive principles, and that's something that you only gain by doing it over and over and over, and we're not quite there yet, especially some of our newcomers. Like, for instance, there were several times when the ball was on one side of the floor and our guys were outside the lane on the other side of the floor, and they should have been closer to the midline or the lane line so that if their teammate got beat on a drive or a pass or a lob, they were there, they could be there to help. Those are things that you just got to keep working at, and when they got to become habit when you're teaching new defensive principles like what we're teaching. But overall, I feel that comfortable that at least when we correct them, they understand exactly what they should have done, even though we're not as consistently, efficient as we like to be.
Coach, how close is Chris to being at top form?
I think he has a lot more room for improvement. I think that Chris is probably our most experienced guy. He's played the most minutes. He has some innate, God-given skills on the defensive end that allows him to do things that a lot of people can't do. He has physical attributes with his length, his size, his quickness, his speed, and just his agility that gives him a chance to play inside defense, inside and offense. He's shooting the ball much better from the perimeter. He's making much better decisions with the ball. His ball handling and passing has improved. And I think right now he's showing a tremendous leadership with going out and giving us a tremendous effort every possession on the floor. And so I feel comfortable that he's demonstrating where he is, and he's leading by example, and we're very pleased with that.
And where do you want to see the improvement with him next?
Well, overall, I think that he's going to improve as we improve as a team. Sometimes it's hard to be a leader when you got guys who still trying to learn how to follow. And in order to be a good follower, you almost have to have a clear understanding of exactly what you're supposed to do. And I'm not trying to overly emphasize the technical part, like we're trying to send a rocket ship to the moon. But in order for us to be successful with the team we have, we need to all be working together. We need to have 8, 9, 10 guys that can go in the game, and we all kind of be on the same page regardless of who's in the court, on the court. I think if I wanted to play 6 or 7 guys, we could go out and score 100 points, 120 points, and maybe be successful. But I'm not real sure we would develop as a team to the point where in January and February we would have the quality of depth that I feel like we need to have in order to compete in the ACC. And that's kind of what we're doing right now. I'm sure that if I'd have left my stars in and they played 35 minutes apiece, the margin of victory would have been tremendous. Maybe we'd have scored 100 points or so. But right now, we're still trying to develop that unit. We're trying to give guys playing time and minutes and let them play through some of their mistakes. And I think Chris will be a lot more effective when some of the inexperienced players come up to snuff a little bit. So I think we're still a work in progress. And, you know, I'm glad to see him where he is, but I still think that he can continue to keep working on his skills, and there's no telling how good he can be in January and February.
13 blocks tonight. You guys are first in the league in blocks. Can you just talk about the interior defense without Solomon?
Well, unfortunately, we needed those blocks because our defense broke down and allowed that type of level of penetration, which we try not to do. It's just fortunate enough we have long arms and pretty good athleticism, and we're able, you know, to protect the basket when our defensive system breaks down. So it's a kind of catch-22. I'm glad that we're displaying the fact that we can contest shots and block shots in the interior part of your defense. But I'm a little disappointed that we're not containing the dribble better, and that sometimes our defensive principles of defending the post, as well as Ryan did last year, we're allowing the ball sometimes to come in, and we're forced to have to block those shots. Whereas, hopefully, as we continue to work hard and improve, our defensive system will be sound. We won't have to block so many shots because we'll be doing a much better job of containing the dribble, shrinking the gaps, and keeping the ball out of the post. If that makes sense to you.
Because you've had some success against Florida the last 6 years. Is there the games you won against them? Is there a common thread there? The things you've been able to do well against them?
Most of them have been pretty close. I think so. Most of the games could have gone either way. So I'm not feeling. I don't have any thoughts that we have dominated them, even though we've been fortunate enough to win our share of the games. I think what has happened over the years, their talent has changed and our talent has changed. And last year, I thought they did a tremendous job in their game plan of making us make adjustments and decisions after mixing their presses. They were man-to-man press, it was zone press, they were zone, half-court zone, and half-court man. And I didn't think we adjusted real well. And I thought that was a tremendous strategy to use against us. The times before, I thought that we maybe had Al that was a little bit more of a mismatch, and that the other group that was here when he left, you know, they were very savvy with the ball, and we were able to, you know, to not turn the ball over as much and get out in transition. So I'm sure they have a game plan that fits the talent that he has now. We got to utilize our talents, and we got to play a little chess game to see whether or not we are prepared enough for all the different things that maybe they might throw at us at this early in the season.
Did it help? Does it help you to have a tape of that game before we played Ohio State, or was that a little bit too early in the season to really?
Well, Ohio State has probably the most skilled 4 perimeter players of anyone in the country. They had 6 or 7 turnovers against Florida's press, and that just says an awful lot about their ability to do things that most of us can't do. And they got a very veteran, seasoned team that allowed them to make great decisions. And every time they got an open look, Ohio State knocked down the 3. That was hard for Florida. The game was a 2 or 3 point game to about 9 minutes to go, and Ohio State went on a run where they were like a well-oiled machine. So I'm not real sure we're going to be able to duplicate what Ohio State did. We're a different kind of team. Where they put 4 perimeter guys on the floor, and we're a bigger team. We might have more bigger guys on the floor. So it's nice to see and evaluate their talent, see their skills, but I'm sure we're just as familiar with them as they are with us. So I'm not real sure they're being surprises.
Leonard, you were talking about Chris. This obviously is a year where kind of all the eyes are on him because Solomon leaving and Ryan leaving. Has he done a good job of staying within the system, though?
No, absolutely. I don't think he's forcing his shots. He's making great decisions with the ball. He's trying to always involve his teammates in the play. He's an ultimate team player. Even though he's shooting the ball better and ball handling and passing the ball much better, I think you see him trying to play within the system that will allow us to develop some of the other players. So I think he's looking down the road as well. He's confident that he's capable of having big nights for us, but he realizes that if we're going to be successful and win, that his teammates need to step their game up, and he's encouraging them and doing whatever he has to do to get them the ball in places where it allow them to build their confidence up and obviously help us become a better team.
Everybody else set?